Welcome to Horrible Fates, where the most unexpected and tragic endings to seemingly ordinary lives are examined. We will take some time to explore the darkness that can lurk just beneath the surface of everyday existence. Welcome to The Cellar. This first story is a horrifying one, and I plan on doing something a little different. I will tell you all what happened, and with this one, I want to dive into some thoughts that I have around this story and case, as something just doesn't feel right with the conclusion the police ultimately came to. It was October 19th, 2024, in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Halifax is the capital and most populous municipality of the Canadian province of Nova Scotia, and the most populous municipality in eastern Canada. 19-year-old Gursimran Kaur was working the evening shift in her local Walmart's bakery. From what's been reported, Gursimran and her mother both migrated from India to Canada back in 2021. After settling in, Gursimran's mother found herself a job at the local Walmart located at 6990 Mumford Road in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Gursimran would end up following suit, securing a job at Walmart and working within the bakery there. They both enjoyed their jobs, and Gursimran's mother loved having her daughter nearby while they worked. The pair would end up working there for 2 years together before the evening of October 19th. Sometime that evening, Gursimran's mother came to a realization that she had not seen or heard from her daughter in over an hour. She would first pull out her cell phone and try calling her daughter, but it would go straight to voicemail. This unnerved her, as her daughter never turned her phone off. She would soon proceed to start looking around for her daughter, but seemingly could not locate her. At this point, she contacted one of the admins within the store to help locate Gursimran. As they continued their search, they would eventually make their way to the bakery area. It's around this time that an employee noticed something leaking from within the industrial oven in the bakery's kitchen. In the freezer aisles at Walmart, customers were going about their business, filling their carts and checking their lists as to what else they needed to buy. All was seemingly normal until out of nowhere, a blood-curdling scream would fill the building. Shoppers were alarmed as to what they were hearing. Clearly, something horrible was going on. At the same time, a 911 call had been placed, and the operator was in the process of contacting fire and EMS.
Dispatch to Station 5, 5 engine for a technical rescue call to Mumford Road, Walmart, 6990 Mumford Road. Female has locked in an oven in the bakery. Oven is on. Unsure if the staff are able to turn it off.
Gursimran Kaur's mother is the one that let out the blood-curdling, simply horrifying scream. As she looked for her daughter, another employee pointed out that something was seeping out from under the industrial oven in the kitchen. Gursimran's mother immediately went to check it out, and as she opened the door to the oven, she was met with absolute horror. Her 19-year-old daughter's charred remains sat there in a heap inside the oven. She had seemingly been cooked alive. Every parent's worst nightmare is to have to bury their child, but this was beyond a nightmare. This was beyond anything that anyone should ever have to witness or even comprehend. Police, fire, and EMS would arrive on the scene, and the Walmart was fully evacuated. Gursimran Kaur would be pronounced deceased immediately. It was horrifying in every way imaginable. Now it was time for the police to investigate and figure out exactly what went wrong. The Walmart would remain closed for an extended amount of time as detectives worked to put the pieces of this case together. How in the world did Gursimran Kaur end up inside a Walmart oven? As the investigation continued, numerous Walmart employees would take to social media and more. Many shared their experiences working within a Walmart bakery. Some of those even went as far as to share video of how these particular ovens work. Before I show you their videos, let's first get to the official police report on what happened. Around 1 month after the incident occurred, the police would come out and finally speak on what they concluded. Their conclusion has led to a lot of speculation. Ultimately, they declared that there was no foul play involved in Gursimran's death. So case closed, right? Well, this is where I want to do something a little different. In the end, the police didn't really give any explanation as to what they believed happened. There's no other details that have been shared with the public, and it's left a lot of people speculating. Now, let's take a moment to watch these Walmart employees' videos. They're very insightful on how these ovens work. Then we will finish our discussion.
It doesn't. It doesn't latch. It's designed to not do that. Absolutely. That's it. Isn't that quick? One more time. Say you swing it open too hard when you put something out of the oven. Let's see what happens. There is no way that this girl locked herself into one of these ovens while cleaning it. No way possible. There's no way possible. Let me just show you the emergency button. Pops the door open. Pops the door open. My opinion, there's no way she did that on her own.
As you can see in the video, it seems next to impossible for someone to lock themselves inside of one of these ovens. First, you have to really forcefully close the door in order to get it to latch shut. From what's been shared, it seems like the doors are designed so that they won't close and latch behind you so easily, so they're not self-shutting oven doors. Second, there's an emergency button inside on the door that is there to pop the door open. So even if, somehow, you got trapped in there, this button should free you quite easily. There's also very little room inside the oven, and the way it's designed, no one should be pulling a cart of bread in with them. The carts are supposed to be pushed in. Once they're in there, they take up the majority of space as well. Also, if I understand correctly, the oven has to be turned on from the outside. From what's been reported thus far, the oven was working in accordance to the manufacturer's standards. Whatever that means, I don't know for sure. Also, we have no idea if there was a sufficient amount of camera footage to clarify if someone could have done this to her. In the end, I just can't seem to comprehend how this 19-year-old could have gotten trapped inside an oven that seemingly was next to impossible to get trapped in on one's own. Now, one theory that I hope could be true is the idea that maybe Gursimran suffered a medical emergency. She could have lost consciousness or even passed on before the oven cooked her body. In the end, we don't know what her cause of death ultimately is, but I hold out hope that she didn't suffer. After scouring the internet some more, I did find an interesting idea that was tossed around. Some Walmart employees shared that they used to open the door to the running oven and stand in the doorway of it to warm up during cold winter days. Gursimran lived in a rather cold area in Halifax, and it's possible she could have been doing this very thing. Could she have fallen and hit her head? Could she have lost consciousness somehow and it was just a tragic accident? I guess it's possible, but based on the evidence and what other employees have demonstrated with the same oven model, I struggle to believe that that's what happened. Now, one last thought was that she took her own life. I can't even entertain this. There are far less painful ways for someone to exit this world. Putting yourself in an oven and cooking alive? Well, I just don't think it's a feasible way that anyone would ever consider. With that said, I would love to hear what you all think about this story. This one is horrifying and gut-wrenching. Being a parent, I feel horrible in every way for her mother, and I just want to take a brief moment to send my deepest condolences to all of her family and friends. Debbie Kawam was a 57-year-old woman who lived in New York City. Debbie grew up in New Jersey and was known to be a cheerful person in her youth. In high school, she became a cheerleader and had numerous friends. In 1985, Debbie would graduate from Passaic Valley Regional High School, which is located in Little Falls, New Jersey. Debbie would secure a job as a hostess at a diner known as Perkins Pancake House. She loved taking care of customers, always greeting them with a warm, inviting smile. In her 20s, Debbie was said to be an enthusiastic, spirited young woman. People loved to be around her, and she would often travel with friends to Las Vegas, Jamaica, Cancun, or the Bahamas. To put it simply, Debbie lived life in the moment. Following high school, Debbie would go on to attend Montclair State University. There, she studied business and marketing before securing a job with Merck. Merck is a pharmaceutical company, and Debbie worked as a customer service representative for them. From what's been reported, Debbie had a tendency to bounce around jobs quite frequently. Around the year 2000, Debbie entered into a relationship. The pair would purchase a house by the Passaic River down the street from Debbie's childhood home. In 2003, Debbie would legally change her first name from Debbie to Debrina. As the 2000s continued on, Debrina's life began a downward spiral. In 2008, her relationship came to an end, and the house the couple had shared went into foreclosure. That same year, Debrina was also forced to file for bankruptcy. As all of this was happening, Debrina began getting into trouble with local law enforcement. Debrina had become pretty dependent on alcohol over the years, and with her life falling apart, things only got worse. Debrina would spend the next decade of her life bouncing around. She entered into another relationship, but it too fell apart. She also spent some time in Atlantic City, where she got in trouble frequently for being intoxicated in public. In the fall of 2024, Debrina Kawam traveled to New York City. With no job and no place to live, she joined the many homeless on the streets of the Big Apple. On November 29th of 2024, Debrina Kawam was approached by a homeless outreach team at Grand Central Terminal. They offered her help, and the following day, Debrina checked into a shelter for women. Within a few days, she was assigned to a shelter located in the Bronx, but sadly, Debrina never showed up. That now brings us to the cold, bitter morning of December 22nd, 2024. Debrina Kawam had wandered around the night before looking for a warm place to sleep. She would find a spot on the parked F train at the end of the line in Coney Island. As Debrina slept, she had no idea what horror awaited her. At around 7:30 a.m., a man boarded the parked F train car that Debrina was sleeping in. The man was 33-year-old Guatemalan illegal immigrant Sebastian Zepeta Khalil. Sebastian had been extradited back in 2018 after attempting to enter through the Arizona-Mexico border. As of now, it's unclear how long Sebastian had been living illegal within the United States. Sebastian would soon approach the still sleeping Debrina. As he did, he glanced around to see if anyone else was in the vicinity, but it was just him and the sleeping woman. After pausing for a brief moment, Sebastian pulled out a lighter from his pocket. Completely unprovoked, Sebastian took his thumb and flicked the lighter until a flame sprouted from the butane gas inside. He then took the flame and held it to the makeshift blanket that Debrina was using to keep warm. It wouldn't take long before the material began smoking, the flames catching and licking at the dry cloth-like material. Before long, the makeshift blanket began to burn, and Sebastian stepped back and began using his shirt to further fan the ever-growing blaze. It didn't take long before Debrina was fully engulfed in fire. Sebastian would then step out of the train, still watching what he had done from the window outside. He proceeded to take a few steps back before sitting himself down on a nearby bench, never taking his eyes off the woman who was now screaming as she burned alive inside the train car. Onlookers and police nearby would eventually come to Debrina's aid, but by the time they managed to put her out, it was far too late. She was pronounced deceased at the scene while Sebastian took off from the area. Footage of the event would be looked at immediately following this horrific crime, and the police would circulate Sebastian's photo. Later that same day, a group of teenagers recognized Sebastian while he was riding the same subway line. They would notify police, who swiftly arrived at the train's next stop and took Sebastian into custody. He is now facing 2 counts of murder and 1 count of arson. These charges mean he faces a maximum of life in prison without parole. As far as I'm concerned, life without parole is the least anyone deserves for committing such a horrifying crime against another human being. I want to send my deepest condolences to all of Debrina's friends and family. No one deserves to suffer such a horrible fate as she did. big thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in to another episode. If you enjoy the content I make here on the channel, then please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps the channel continue to grow. Also, you can check the description box below and find the link to my merch store and a link to my membership tier for the channel. YouTube ad revenue has been a bit rough lately, and for only $2.99 a month, you can help support my channel further, and you get some pretty cool perks to go with it. One of those perks is having your name listed here in the end of each of my videos. So thank you to all my Cellar Dweller members. Also, if you'd like to submit a real-life scary story of any kind, please do so using the email linked in the description box below. As always, I do all the research, writing, recording, and editing for the channel myself, so anything that you do to help support the channel is greatly appreciated. And until next time, I will see each and every one of you again as we head back into the cellar.